What to play after development, what to do after we finish the developing of our pieces. We castle our king, ourselves, and our opponent. What to do next? Well, it's a constant struggle. We have to look for how to further improving the position of our own pieces. We need to make them active. If there is a bishop, perhaps we can open up a diagonal. If we have knights, perhaps we can find a way to put them on an outpost where they can't be challenged by pawns. So that is why chess is so fascinating, beautiful, and time-consuming indeed. So you've got classical chess. Yesterday I was watching Gukesh Dombraju, the current world chess champion, facing Magnus Carlsen. They started with 2 hours each. But then the game was decided in a time scramble, and they eventually got to play bullet chess. Fascinating game. I made a short video about that one. Go and check it if you want to. But let's go back to pawn break after development. That's a question my younger students always ask. Coach, what do I do? I finished the development. What am I supposed to do? So always look for ways to improve your pieces. Now, one important idea is the pawn break, because that's how you open up your bishops and gaining access to controlling more important squares. Now, I'm already liking white's position a bit more here. Why? The knight on a6 is very idle. I don't like that knight on the periphery. And we got to do something about the d4 pawn. The d4 pawn has to do something. But importantly, taking on c5 is a bad thing. Pushing forward is a very good thing. Yeah. Taking on c5 is bad because all of a sudden we are helping our opponent. Careful not to help your opponent's pieces. What if they take with a knight? That knight that didn't do nothing on a6 all of a sudden does a great deal of stuff, taking us vital squares, d3, e4. I just highlighted them together with the bishop. So don't help your opponent's pieces. Leave the knight staying there. Let's push the guy forward to d4. Already grabbing space. I'm prepared to trade off on e6 if they don't do nothing. And they already might have an issue if they allow this thing to happen. If you're looking at knight jumping in and forking pretty much everything that's of importance there. So they took in the light of this, and now we take back with the knight. The position is greatly favorable for white. Not a guarantee that now black is losing. It's a certainty. There's no certainty in chess unless your opponent resigns the game, okay, or you checkmate them. That's when you know officially you've won the game. What we do know for certain now is that the white's position is better. Okay, so we've achieved a better position here. Knight constantly attacks this guy, so the queen can't just venture randomly because you're going to be winning a piece. Your bishop is super strong, so it's important to identify why am I doing better or why am my opponent is doing better. So that's very important for our strategical assessment and practicality, really. So this bishop is greatly positioned here, okay, because this diagonal is going to get open after we push the pawn. Perhaps, if I may suggest, my dearest, rook fe1, it's great stuff just in preparation for pushing the pawn forwards. It might be perhaps playable maybe earlier, but I do like rook fe. I do like queen to d2 because taking g5 from them twice, they can't play the bishop there. If they want to finalize, if they want to do something about that bishop not being a weakness anymore. Also, queen to d2. Remember, you have to also play the queen on the 2nd or 7th rank and get the rook centralized on open files or semi-open files. Very important to keep in mind. So totally position is better for white here. Active bishop, again, let me summarize. Active bishop here. Our bishop will be counteracting that bishop on b7 anytime soon. If they give us the bishop, hey, I'm very happy to take it back. We just eliminated an active bishop of our opponent, or they chose to help us. Keep this in mind. So, oh, by the way, guys, this is the first part in our lesson, the pawn break after development. We're going to do a part 2 in the next coming days. So, our opponent played queen to b6. Maybe pause it for a second and try to figure out what is going on. How can I react? How can I respond to this? How can I attack my opponent and make it more difficult for them? Now, queen to b6, queen to a5, normally are squares where the black queen goes. But in this position, they place the queen exactly on the diagonal of our bishop on e3. Now, I know there is a pawn here, But can we challenge that pawn and make it difficult for them to defend? Given the fact that the c4 already has double defense, so we couldn't practically care about that guy, a move like b4 adds more pressure on a pinned pawn. That pawn can't move or the queen is gone. So this way to constantly improve your stuff, pressurizing the weak squares, the weak pawns, the pins, hitting them, that's exactly how you are getting better and perhaps you're going to be winning. Now, we've established here they can't take it. They played in this position here. By the way, that's a for learning purposes, so rook fc8. So that didn't happen in a real game, but for us to understand. A4 adds more building up pressure on the queen side. We're very happy with our rooks. We're very happy here. Look at this. Look at this. So things will be opening to white's benefit. Yes, of course, there is a bishop here, but this guy is currently stuck by a pawn. So keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Your opponent may try to lure you at some point, maybe with something like f5. So you have to be careful about these ideas all the time. But you call the shots now because you played the a4. So you took initiative. So that might be one of the counterplay ideas for black. But keep in mind about yours. So if black took on a4, now you play very nicely rook f to b, positioning your rooks on the most active, attacking, beneficial files, semi-open files for you. You're threatening to take on c5. This is a serious threat. If b takes c, this is absolutely gaining the upper hand on the queen side. Queen moved to safety, and now we take. They take. Taken on a4, by the way, this guy is up for the grab. We have to take it. We took with the bishop. Bishop takes and rook takes. And if you, again, you pause it for a second or two and look at a position, a6 is an isolated pawn. That's a weakness. You can constantly hitting it. Perhaps you may be getting the other rook to attack it twice. So the knight can't move. We could say that the knight cannot move. And that's not over. The c5 is also super weak. You could potentially attack it with a move like knight to b3. And the onus is on them what to do. You know, if they play knight at d7, you may be thinking about playing then rook ba. Just give you ideas. Also, if the queen were to make it on d3, you might be supporting the d5 passed pawn, white passed pawn, to moving forward, attack the queen, attack the knight. Just, again, another idea. And I'm pretty sure there's many other floating here that we need to discover and to play them. But, again, to summarize, a6, isolated black pawn, constantly targeted. That's a weakness for our opponent. c5, another weakness for black here, already attacked by the bishop. If you get another attacker, there will be two attackers on the c5. I'm not pretty sure how black is going to successfully defending that. And good for white, again, the d5 white passed pawn. So these little details make the difference in between winning and not winning. So it's important to understand that. Let's go to another scenario here, guys. What to play? Pause it if you want. We're having the white pieces here. Everybody castle the king. What kind of pawn break are we supposed to be playing? And one idea that you may be finding, which looks absolutely great. By the way, if you wonder why did my opponent play king h7, you probably noticed, guys, there is a battery here, queen and bishop attacking h6. So they were forced to defend. And now we're going to put more problems for them by playing c2 to c3. And now, of course, you probably found it. We want to make a pawn break here. We do making a pawn break here. And there's no stopping. We're going to be trading to our advantage. They still have an awkward bishop on the c8. They probably need to find a way. Queen to c7 had been played in this scenario here. Notice we can freely place a rook on the c and on the d. Probably we can take advantage of those. d4, though, very important now because the queen is here. Of course, I want to put a problem for them, opening up the center. Of course, we may also thinking about getting the rook to d1, as we said. And after we capture, we may have some very powerful attack on the d6 square. So now b6 with the attempt probably to getting the bishop to being developed and attacking. Maybe b7, maybe a6. We don't know that yet. But definitely we're getting a rook on the d. And we are going to be trading. And we are going to be threatening planting ourselves a queen over to d6. And that's definitely better for white here. Enjoying a better position here. Again, not to guarantee white is going to win, but you've done the right thing, further improving the piece's position. Opening up diagonals for the bishops, placing the knights on an outpost, getting the rooks on an open file, semi-open files, normally in the center of the board, so keep this in mind. Constant improving, sanctioning your opponents when they play weaker moves. And guys, I'm going to be seeing you with the second part of our lesson dedicated to pawn breaking after we finish the development. Thank you.